there's something you got to know about this thing that is called reflection. Reflection is a fundamental part of human consciousness. It can go really right. It can go really wrong. When it goes wrong is when the evil spirits get it. Right?
Okay.
So this is what he says. This is the journey we're going on today is drawn out of his Journal of Spiritual Experiences. There's one series of entries starting with number 3624.
Okay.
He says, "It is well known that by reflection we learn facts about the body. How the eye sees, the ear hears, how the sense of smell distinguishes odors, the tongue distinguishes tastes, and the touch the diverse parts of the body. For without reflection, nothing is felt, as the case is with those in an absent state of mind, whose body is insensitive, almost as in sleep."
It's an interesting point at the end there, because we have sensations, like signals are coming in, like even when we're asleep, our ears are surely, the eardrums are vibrating, stuff is happening,
Yes.
and yet we're checked out. We're not aware of it. And everybody knows situations where you've been with somebody who's so deep in thought about something that you could be playing a joke on them, or harassing them with a feather or something like this, and they're just totally not.
There's probably people
out.
behind us right now. We have no idea.
Yeah,
We're like in the middle of this.
that's right.
So you have to have that. That's what that's what it is to understand sensory inputs and like pick them apart and figure things. You have to be paying attention to what's going on. The more out of it you are, I think a cool example of this is dreams. You're pretty without reflection when you're in dreams.
Yeah.
To you, I'm in this weird place I've never been. It's my house, but it's not my house. There's people here. The things aren't behaving as they should. You never stop to think, mostly, why is it like this? This is not how things usually are.
Yeah.
You're just going with whatever because you're not reflecting on what's around you.
Yeah. How did I suddenly get out in this field? We were in the house. And
Yes.
Now I'm out in the field.
So that's reflection. I told you it's a vegetable. We just picked it up.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that, like, even if you go to the doctor about some ailment or something like that, they'll ask you, well, what was the pain like?
Yeah.
How long did it last?
Mm-hmm.
And some people, psychologically or whatever, different field, they'll say, what shape was it? Or did it have a name? Or was it a color? Or what, what temperature, or something like that. And it's all ways to get you to kind of reflect, because it's weird how we can be having experiences, and if we don't reflect, when did this start?
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, it just all of a sudden I became aware that this was going on, but I actually think it's probably been a few days.
Moving on. So likewise, he says, and this is from a different part of his Journal of Spiritual Experiences. This is elsewhere he's talking about reflection. Likewise, when we do not reflect on the things in our own mind, our own motivation, how we are thinking, what we are doing, what is motivating our actions, without reflecting, we know nothing, except that we are and nothing else, not what we are.
That we are. Yeah, so we sort of have that basic level of existence, like the dream state you were talking about. But what an interesting list of different things that you could be paying attention to.
Yes.
So what do you say? What we're thinking, but also
how we're thinking, what we're doing, what is motivating our actions.
What is motivating?
It's like was Socrates the unexamined life, or Aristotle? The unexamined life is not worth living. And we have to do this section. So for our lawyers told us we don't really have that we had to do this, because otherwise people might watch this episode and think, you're telling me to just like, I'm not paying attention to my own life, and I'm just like have to be in this sort of furious, tunnel-visioned escape from thinking about stuff too. You're telling me to live life in a way that's unmanageable. And no, that you can do this, but there is a reflection that goes beyond this reflection. And once you cross on, it's like if you're putting salt in your food, and it's like, oh, this food doesn't taste very good. That's a little better. That's really good. This is not good. I can't eat this. So that's how it is with reflection. And if you're reflecting enough to be able to live your life, and even being able to look at yourself and say, am I a jerk? Am I causing problems? I was just talking to somebody who was reflecting on his role at the company he's in, and he's like, "Oh, I just am realizing how I was buying into and causing these problems that I didn't even realize." And I'm sure all the coworkers are just like, "Thank you for doing that. That's important. You got to do that. That's what regeneration is. We're not saying you can't do that."
That's right. And it's shining a light. It's Swedenborg says we're able to do that because we have multiple levels in our minds. So there's a higher part of your mind that's, so to speak, that's able to look down on, not only are you able to look down, quote unquote, on your body and like sort of notice what am I feeling right now.
Yep.
Don't a lot of meditations start with, feel the weight of your body against the chair, the surface, or
whoever invented that must be so rich, because I feel like every meditation's got that.
They all start
the
with
royalties that are coming in.
Your breathing.
Like feel the weight on the ground, man.
They're getting so rich
Genius.
on that.
Yes, so that's important. You are all probably doing this in your life. What we're here to challenge you on, and this is challenging even to me. I mean, when I came across this this number, I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a radical way to think about life. Your problem is not that you're reflecting, you are reflecting way too much in your life.
There's a pathological version of this, which makes sense that whatever capacities we have, hell, for lack of a better word, is going to try to hack into that. Or say, let's, because that's a very good, very important thing in your life.
Yes.
As you say, the unexamined life. So if you got a life where you don't know how you're behaving toward people, at the end of the day, you just sleep peacefully because you think, well, I'm a great person. That's your story to yourself.
Yeah.
And you've never really examined. Well, in the post office, I was kind of awful. And also at the restaurant, I was pretty bad. And actually,
But at the Home Depot,
that's right.
It wasn't very good.
It was pretty bad, actually. So a certain amount of reflection is just invaluable for moving forward spiritually.
Yeah.
So weird that Swedenborg's about to tell us a pathological version of that.
This is what we should have opened with. We should have opened with it. You are probably reflecting too much. I think I know your problem, and your problem is you are reflecting way too much. Or that's what's true for me. So okay.
I've never experienced this problem, so I'll be interested to hear from you what it's like.
I hope.
My overthinker is hyperactive.
Well, yeah, it's how you get to make good podcasts. Is you think too much about stuff, and then you have a lot to say about it. However, there's a way you can live life that is free of overthinking and is spiritually very well guarded against evil spirits.
This could really help me.
So the first trap that evil spirits will set for your mind is that worry. They will try to get you to worry because worry allows the intrusion of evil spirits.
Oh, and that seems like a low bar. I mean, to get us to worry. Not too hard to throw in a little.
Yeah.
Oh, but what about? Oh, did you leave the stove on or something?
And then you start thinking about it, and listen to what happens when you start over reflecting on even things that seem very innocuous in your life. This is Swedenborg saying, whenever I was prompted to think of my little garden, of him who cared for it, of my having to be called home, of money matters, of the attitude of my acquaintances, of the character of the people in my house, of things that were to be written, how they would be received by the people and the possibility they would not be understood, of new clothes that had to be obtained, and many other such cases or cares. These are all just the normal stuff of life. These are very reasonable things to be thinking about.
And it's a responsible life. I mean, if you own a property, he had a garden that was a property that was 1.2 acres. Is not vast by nobility standards or whatever, but he had his little garden and taking care of your property. Your clothes. Oh, I need some new clothes for the. I'm going into the court next week or something.
And the things that were to be written. He's talking about the books that this whole channel is based on, that have been this like spiritual inspiration for hundreds and thousands and millions of people.
That's
over
right.
the years.
Pretty big deal. I mean, that's his calling,
and he's
right?
saying,
his calling.
even thinking about that and the impact they would have and how well they would reach
how
and
it be
everything.
received,
So
and whether people would misunderstand or
all
not,
these, yes,
which is like guaranteed to happen.
think of him, his greatest nightmare, watching this show. And
That's right.
They think that's what I meant.
Got nothing.
This is what they got out of it. Did you read anything? So he's got all these things bundled up in his mind. The things you and I, you would have your modern versions of it. So all these things. So when he's thinking about those things, whenever I kept reflecting on them for a long time, spirits would straightaway throw in troublesome, worrisome, and evil things, together with supporting thoughts and desires.
So it's like a secondary infection, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a wound, but then there's something that takes advantage of that. So, oh, hey, there's a break in the skin here. We can dive in here. So evil spirits are diving in and getting into that thought process. If he sort of dwells on that for a long time, then they're getting in there. And what did it say? They're also throwing in, so they're throwing in worries, and they're also throwing in thoughts, right?
Supporting thoughts and desires.
Supporting thoughts and desire. Interesting.
So
Yeah.
for anyone who's not familiar, let's explain who are these spirits? Where do they come from? Swedenborg discovered that you always have, he had, and we all have, you have people in the afterlife that you have proximity to. Like you got spirits around you all the time. Yeah. You read his journal of spiritual experiences. Everything he's thinking and feeling, there's being influenced by whatever spirits are around him. You could think of it like if you were at a party. I talk about parties so much. Do you think I ever go to parties?
I haven't ever seen you at a party when I think about it.
I think, people take precautions to make sure that doesn't happen. But I know, okay, yes. I know from, I watched some
Sorry,
online.
I misspelled the name. I got the address wrong. I'm sure there was an invite there.
I watched some online tutorials about what a party is in case I ever get an invite to one.
Good.
You're around, you're mingling with people, and whoever comes over to your little stand circle, that influences what the nature of the conversation is, right?
Yeah, like one spouse can have a very different experience at the same party.
Yes.
Because they got to talking to so-and-so and they really enjoyed that, and you
Yeah.
got stuck with so-and-so and it was a difficult experience.
How did Curtis get into this party? So, because the person shows up and a lot of things happen. First of all, you're seeing them, and that changes it. Everyone there sort of adjusts what they say because they're thinking about this person. That person says things that change the topic or change the way that the subject material is thought about. It influences it. So
and,
you're
and one person who's in a mood or something,
Yeah.
they can have a big impact.
You're at a spirit party, and they're around, and depending on what you do and what you love and what you think about, they can influence you. And it's like you moving around that party and I'm going to go talk to these guys in the corner who are got leather collars and they're rolling dice, So so Swedenborg would be thinking, and it's not doing, even if he didn't have his spiritual eyes open and didn't know any of this weird stuff, the dynamic would have still been there. He would have just experienced it like you and I do.
Yes.
I'm thinking about my garden. I'm thinking about the nature of my work and how it'll be done. I'm thinking about my finances, and I'm thinking about it for a long time. And it starts to, we would call it spiral.
Yes.
Now, where I'm starting to get more and more worried about it. People, I was just talking to someone who was like, I was just up at night. I was worrying about this thing. Then I started to worry about this thing. Then I started to worry about that thing.
Yeah.
So once Swedenborg was thinking about this normal stuff, because his eyes were open, he could see that's an opening for that secondary infection. Yeah. Spirits come over and they see, you're worrying about this. What if it was even worse?
Yeah. Or even just, you're thinking about this.
Yeah.
I think I can inject worry in. I think I can get you to worry about
that's true.
This. Like, well, what if, or what if, or what if, what?
And supporting thoughts and desires. So you would suddenly, when you just take spirits out of the picture and you're just thinking about something and you start to, and then it starts to worry you, the act of worrying is like, oh, there's almost arguments that are presented to me in my head. about why this should be wearing, and feeling like a little bit of panic or a little bit of fear. This is exactly how it works. So
I'm never going to be able to find a cravat that goes with my,
not in a million with that
elk skin
not
coat.
in a million years.